That is a 2002 Cadillac Escalade. I know what you're thinking. Mike, why do you have a 2002 Cadillac Escalade? I have no idea, but it's happening. So here's the thing. I got one fella I work with who was the owner of this here Cadillac. I got another friend who works at the shop that they took this Cadillac to. See, they took this Cadillac in because their kid's getting ready to drive, and they wanted to see if they could get it fixed up mechanically for a first driver vehicle. Heck of a first rig, if you ask me. They took it to the shop went through them, they gave them a quote to fix everything that they said was wrong with it, and the people that owned it said, nah, it's not really worth that to us, we're just gonna get rid of the thing and get them something else. Well, that's when person number one reached out to me and said, hey, I hear you're a fan of purchasing things that ran when parked. How you feel about a Cadillac Escalade? And I said, I'm interested. Now, they had to have this thing towed in to where it was at. So I said, I give you 500 bucks and I'll tow it back out of there for you. They said, deal. We took it. And honestly, I went through the list. There's not a crazy amount wrong with this thing. The goal here isn't to keep it. It's to just get it fixed up and then sell it. Nice. I should say the eventual goal is to fix it up and sell it. We're gonna try to all do it in one video. First goal, we gotta get it up to the shop. Neighbor asked the other day when I was down here, he said, you hiding that? You gonna surprise the wife? I said, oh, I'm hiding it all right, and it'll certainly be a surprise. No brakes is on the list. We gotta replace all the brake lines. I lowered the tire pressure whenever I loaded it onto the trailer because of the whole no brake situation. When I say no brakes, I mean none of them, not even that fancy parking brake. So this one I lowered a little bit more than the others, I guess. Actually, it's pretty dry rot. We'll add new rear tires to the list. Anyway, hopefully we got enough in here. I will say, for a 20-year-old vehicle, the interior is pretty clean. There's no major rips, tears, or anything like that. There's a little bit of your staining you'd expect, but it's really not too bad. Listen to her. She sounds good, man. Look at the luxury in this thing. Can you believe it? Yeah, there's not a lot there in that pedal. Oh dear. Even with the pump, even if you, okay. So smooth. If you have a question, when you make it in life, do they start measuring temperature in Celsius? Is that a thing? Have I just been in the Fahrenheit tax bracket my whole life and I didn't know that? That's a thing. All right. So keep in mind, the shop that looked at this, they got the luxury of a lift, but they said it had some brake line leaks. And since we drove it and hit the pedal a lot, I should be able to look underneath here and eyeball down the bottom of the vehicle. And bingo, that's what we're looking for. Find a spot that looks wet. We got some moisture on the rail right here. And that is brake fluid. So there's brake somewhere in here. Frame overall, I mean, definitely surface rust. Without a doubt, surface rust. But Indiana, 22 years old, it ain't bad. Not bad at all, really. Well, let's go ahead and get this side up on blocks. So we can see it a little bit better. Where's the frame? Where are you at? Right there. There we go. This is your disclaimer. I'm not a mechanic by any means. But, we're gonna take a look at this thing. I will tell you though, I spent a lot of time on gravel. These boogie boards that you buy in Florida and never use again, they got the slick bottoms. They're comfortable, they're padded. Yeah. calipers and rotors might be something we have to get to. We'll just have to kind of look, see what we get into. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, we're 22 years old in Indiana. It's pretty much what I would expect. Pretty much what I'd expect. Everything's solid still. So this line in the back runs here from both sides to that hose, goes up over top of that. You see that hard line coming back right there, which is that right there. Looks like it's going to benefit us to pop this inner fender well out real quick. There we go. Now it's been repaired from here back. There's a coupler in it, or maybe it's made that way. I don't know. Either way, yeah, she's pretty rough looking. Here's spot number one. Try to get that undone, and then we'll try to figure out where it's at on the front side. This is the complete brake line kit for the car. Stainless steel lines. There's an ABS module. Normally on the frame under the driver's seat. Might be best to take this tire off and that inner fender out as well. Maybe we can see where it's at. Driver's side door right underneath. And that's it right there. I don't know if you can make out the lines, but you can see that one right there. Goes that and back. So that's going to be the first one we try to get out of there. I could probably take this little fuel filter, whatever this is. It's on a fuel line. Probably some sort of fuel filter. I could probably take that off, gain myself a little bit of room. But honestly, it doesn't look awful. I think I can sneak a wrench up in there. The other option, if my wrench slips, we can always just cut them and put a socket on there. And if we do that, we will take that off. But, you know, for now, we'll just, that was nice. That was good. That's how you make tough elbows. Get off of it. Not bad. Definitely gives me more room. If I get that bracket off there, it'll give me even more room. So we got that bracket out. Look at all the room for activities now. Huh? Perfect. Feels like I'm going to round that off. So what we're going to do, as long as I got the room for it, which I think I should. Ratchet, yep. We're just going to cut that line and put a socket on it. There it is. There it is. Oh! She's loose. Ouch. That hurt. Victory part 1. This is going to be a 1,000-part series, but 1. Also, you might know where the O-ring went to the fuel line. I think I'm just going to drop the fuel tank real quick. There's like 20 little bolts we can pull this off, and I still don't think that's going to give us access to what we need. I can feel up along the frame and follow that brake line, and I can feel a couple spots where it's got little harnesses that hold it in place. I want to make sure we get it back in place correctly, because even if we fix the rust issue, if it's not secured properly and it's rubbing on the frame, then it's going to wear through prematurely. We don't want that. And dropping the fuel tank, 2 straps, so probably just the 2 bolts, and maybe disconnecting a few odds and ends to get it low enough that we can actually work behind it. Tank's not fully out of the way. So there's still something holding on the front. I think we have enough room though. I think I can reach up around and grab the things I need. I'm just gonna cut the hook end off of it, and then I think we can just pull it backwards from there. So here's our piece. It broke on me coming out. probably where the leak was at would make the most sense. So we gotta look at our kit and see if we can't find one that's somewhat similar to that. This looks like got some factory bins. Of course, there's the bins that we made pulling it out. I was really hoping to just get the rear one done this afternoon because I think it's gonna be the hardest. I got about an hour left before I gotta get out of here though. These two pieces of tape, it says straighten between the two pieces of tape. So that's what we're gonna do. Now we look at it like that. Yeah, you can really see it. There's that bend. All right, well, let's see if we can somehow magically get this fished through there. Pass this cross member. Yeah. Okay. So the big question every time I come to a harness, was it above or below? I think below is gonna be the answer every time. What is going on over here? What? Oh my gosh. Calm down. Shh. Having the fuel tank out is definitely nice because I can take this hand up here and just kind of push it and then use my front hand, sometimes referred to as my right hand, to guide it. And I got the distance. I figure out what's going on back here though, because I got to get it to, which way is it, to rotate down. So now I have to carefully manipulate this down through here. Well, this is going to answer the question, are the pre-bent brake lines worth it? Probably for the smaller things, but for the long runs, I think I've been better off just grabbing my coil of brake line in the shop and running a line like that, honestly. For the long runs, the pre-bent brake lines, so far I'm not a fan. I think for these smaller sections like around the diff, where the bends matter, it's going to be great. So we got to pull, that's part of the old line, we got to pull that out too, but route's good. The only thing is I ended up over top of this line instead of below it, but it's no big deal because we can just disconnect the harness on the back side. Carefully work it out. Maybe. Yep. And then run it back over top. So that's not a big deal at all. I'm going to cover the fuel fill and the vent tube real quick because the fuel fill tube or hose is really dry rotted. It doesn't look great. So if we've got the tank down, it's just a super easy thing to replace at this point in time. And then we're going to get tools up and call it a night. All right, it is the following morning. I don't have a lot of time this morning. We got some stuff we got to do this afternoon, but I want to go ahead and, even though these front lines don't look terrible, I mean, they really don't. We got some surface rust, but nothing crazy. I've got them. They're not too terrible to access, so we're just going to go ahead and change them out since we've got them. So there they are, coming off the ABS. And then they all run here behind this harness, or this wire loom. So we're going to undo these clips and try to slide this out of the way the best we can. Can't really see it. I can feel it. There are little clips like that, but they should be open on the top. We should be able to just push those up and out of there. I don't think there's anything that actually, you know, like clamps on it. Not that I can see. It does look like they run in the back side of this clip here though. So we got those cut down and draining. Start breaking some of these connections loose too while we're at it. Broke loose. Easy peasy. Of course, now part of the nut's messed up, but that's not that big a deal. So since we're going through the trouble of doing the lines, we might as well go through the trouble of doing the hoses as well, since we've got stuff disconnected. AC Delcos, that's what we're running on this. Hopefully these don't break. We'll give them a little bump forward and back here. Broke. Awesome. Can't believe that didn't break. I'll take it. I'll take that lock all day long. There's one. Oh, heck, I guess technically it's two. Holy smokes. Oh, yeah. That's the ticket. We got access for everything in here. Way better. All right, great. Great. Anyway, let's get the old wiggler going back here. It's gonna be that line right there. That's the first one we're gonna get out of there. I don't know what's right or wrong, but you see how those clips are? I will just squeeze them with something like needle nose or these wire strippers so it closes that, and then pop that up with a screwdriver out of there. That's the way I do it. I'm sure there's a right way, but pop that off. That should just pull out into a squeeze. Give her a pop. There we go. Oh yeah, all the way through there. Sure you do. Sure you do. Why wouldn't you? I'll run through a series of clips along the front, which means we'll probably just be popping this plastic off. And then right back up here on top of the frame, back to that one. So what I'm gonna do, because it's gotta be the first line to come out because of the way it's stacked into these little clips, we're just gonna cut it here, get it out of there, and then it'll be the last one to go in. So we can get everything else in. And yeah, no, you understand. You guys doing okay up here? You having fun? I hope so. I'm having a blast. Okay. So, I'm gonna draw a picture real quick, actually. I'm gonna draw a picture real quick. Front left. Nope, nope, nope. Front right. Well, this is what I was talking about, order of operations with the harness. Now, with that one out, we can, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but we can open that clip up because that is buried underneath it, like that there. So now that that's open, the other three can be popped out of there. So, okay. So because where the other ones are at, I can't quite get the cutters in there. I don't have the room. One of these are pretty handy because they're adjustable in length. All right, you can just slide them in and out. And the nice thing about this versus a Sawzall, it's not gonna go rogue on you, hopefully, and cut a bunch of wiring harnesses or something that doesn't need to be cut. And brake line is relatively soft, so it doesn't take too long, especially with a decent blade on there to do what we need to do. We just got that one out, the bottom left, the way you're looking at it on your screen, which I think is the rear supply. So we're down to that one top left, the way you're looking at it. And then everything will be disconnected on this end of things. Might as well go ahead and see if we can get that one out. I'll break this loose here. Oh yeah, we got that one. All right, be right back. All right, the odds we can get this thing wiggled out in one piece. Hopefully good, because then that means we can get it wiggled in one piece. I feel like if you had two people, one working the bottom side out and one pulling the top side, these would come out fairly easy. There we go. Okay. Okay. That's the front. I started at 10 o'clock this morning. My goal for the progress on this project today was just to get the rest of the lines out and routed. And then I got to pull off and work on something else. It is currently 11 o'clock right now. Well, like 11:30. Just because of this way this loom or loam's been running in this harness, the plastic's brittle and broken off. So we're gonna rewrap this too to get a little bit of protection. But we're getting this whole thing pulled out of the way. We got to be on the back side of it. So I did make an order of operations. The first one I took out should have been the last one I put in. For whatever reason, the first one I took out was the first one I put in. but it is where it needs to go. It was long and it took some time, and we definitely had to manipulate it as you go, but I think as long as the fella doesn't jam anything or kink anything, just went slow with it, didn't force anything, made sure it was happy everywhere it sits, and it looks good. Look at that, new brake line to a new brake hose. It's a lot of stepping. All right, front supply. So far the hardest part on this is making sure I'm on the right side of the harnesses. Right here, not really. Oh, there we go. Gonna replace the filler hose and neck for the fuel tank, and I'll show you why. Once we get that out, it'll be easier to explain. But let's keep going with this thing. Then we'll just go ahead and slide the new line on. We'll just snug it for now. Then we'll go ahead and take this rear brake line off this section, make that connection, work our way to the other side, and get that connected on the top side and this old one out. Got the old one out, came out pretty easy. The replacement does not have that protection on it, which I don't think is too big of a deal. It also doesn't have the bracket, which is a bit of a deal, and that bracket goes around that protection. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna sneak some of this off this end where it's not all rusted and corroded, and we'll put that under the bracket. So new hose back, new clip in, that's just finger tight right now. We'll do the same thing on that end. Then we'll get that snug down and we'll get everything tight. So basically I started on this end, worked my way back, and then the last step we're just gonna torque this down. Some people don't. Driver rear. Sometimes I impress myself. Not most days, but it's been known to happen at least once or twice. I just can't get over this frame for a 22-year-old Midwest vehicle. I mean, there's a lot of surface rust, but there's no heavy rot. There's no what we call rust jacking. There's none of that. If a fellow wanted to put the time into it, you could clean that frame up and paint it. Get quite a few more miles out of it, I feel like. This fella doesn't want to. Definitely using intrinsically safe tools around the fuel. You know? Right on top of here, there's a bolt. So this was the main concern. The hoses aren't bad, but if we're getting a new one, it kind of all comes together. We got some pretty bad rot. We also have some rust jacking right there, where you get a layer of rust on there and it kind of starts to separate. And my main concern was that was going to start getting into the actual fill tube. And if you look, try to get you shoved down in here. Yeah, see that right there? See that rust is starting to break through on the back side of that tube. That's what I was worried about. So that's why we're replacing it. Looks like we're making the right call. I don't know if you know this, but rust in your fill tube or holes in your fill tube, not great. See if we can get this put back together. It's a little bit different the way it's set up, but the overall length is the same and the mounting brackets are the same. It's just got this extra tab. I matched it to the RPO code that was in the dash. This is what the RPO code said it needs. It does appear to be different, but sometimes aftermarket parts make some tweaks and they make stuff so it fits multiple vehicles. As long as it fits in there, we'll be all right. Because I do have to kind of piece it in there. We're gonna take this bag, cover the end of this thing up, and try to keep a bunch of gunk from getting down in it. See what we can. We also gotta get that connected. We'll just lay on the tire. That seems like the best bet. Man, they should make something you could put over your eyes to keep stuff out of it. Beautiful new filler neck. Not attached to the tank, so crucial step we gotta do there yet. But sometimes I do things I think can make my grandpa proud. I'm sitting there taking all this stuff off and I'm like, those are good hose clamps. Yeah, we'll just save those. It looks fine up here. We're gonna leave it loose because we still gotta get this brake line connection up in there, and that'll give us a little bit of room to work with. See if we can get that off there. A crow's foot on an extension probably wouldn't be the worst thing right here. But I got little hands, so try that. Let's see if I can't get that wheel back in there a little bit better. Oh, that feel better. And a little bit of a task pivot. We're going to go ahead and knock out these valve covers. You can see there's definitely some leakage going on. The other side looks to be worse than this side. We'll see if we can get this torn down. Just pull out of there. It does. Very nice. There we go. I don't need anything falling down in there on me. And to be expected, we got the coil packs sitting on top of the valve covers. Few harnesses. We're just gonna slowly work our way through getting everything undone and unhooked and exposed. So here's the technique I used. Not saying it's wrong or right, I just took my time with this. Got that harness disconnected so we didn't break any of the old plastic or the little keeper on there. And then we just took these bolts out right here. Popped this whole bracket off that's holding those coils on, slid it over, and then did the 4 bolts holding the valve cover on. Now we're loose. I just gotta get that vent tube off there and we should be able to come out with it. And there's oil in there, so that's good. Go. Sometimes I forget I have this little ultrasonic cleaner. We got, I just turned the heat on so we can get the temperature up on our solution in there. Running the off-grid shop, solar power off the Blue Eddy. Pulls about 800 watts, getting that heater up to temp. We're starting to pull some watts in off the panel since we're using some off the battery. We were at 100% when we started. It's going to bounce back and forth on the panels because if it doesn't have anywhere to go yet. There, she's starting to take it a little bit. Once it gets room, it'll start pulling in off those panels. We'll let this get up to temp, then we'll turn the heater part of it off, and we'll fire the ultrasonic up. Look at that rig. Not too bad. I'll spray her off with some cleaner just to make sure we get all the residual junk out of there that's loose, because we definitely don't want that in there. That's what we look like. It's not too bad. Cleaned up fine. Get her wiggled into place and make sure we got the gasket all the way around. Then we'll torque those down to the spec I found. And since I'm not professional, you know, you'll just have to find the spec yourself if you're doing it. Okay, all right. Then we'll just get that vent line back on and get the coils and everything back up top. Move to the other side. So a few days later, I was waiting on connecting those lines underneath because the other day I was like, man, if I had a stubby, it would go a lot quicker. And I didn't have the size stubby I needed, so I just bought a full set. The only issue is I kind of forgot what goes where. Now I did make my map of what goes where on the block, so I know where they're supposed to go on the block, but a little confused on which one's which now that they're all actually in there and in place. And here's a little thing, okay? So I know this line goes here. I know which line I want. Follow it through this harness, and then if I put a zip tie on it, I can work that zip tie back that line and follow it to where I need to go. At least follow it, or at least get it worked past these blind corners so then I can see where it's at. And somewhere under here, right there should be a zip tie. And I can follow that zip tie. It's right there. I know it's that line. And now I can follow it from here. Now I can give her a wiggle. And that's good, because that's the hole it's supposed to be. It's the last hole we got to fill. We got a new fuel filter with new O-rings as well. Get this old O-ring off here. Perfect, and that one is already off. And of course they're directional. Marked with an arrow. Oh, suppose we ought to put it inside the bracket. We got these harness mounts we got to get hooked back up. Just like all the harness things, all the little, they keep stuff separated and spaced. We're going to get that all buttoned up down here. And I think we'll be done on the bottom side. I randomly go ahead and torque this down before I forget. Okay. Yep. Let's see this. Yeah, just because of how I'm gonna wrap this with some harness tape. Just using this X-Fasten harness tape. Right rear is where we're at now. That line and the hose. Yeah, I broke the other one too, so. start bleeding these brakes out, or just using one of these hand vacuum ones. They make pneumatic ones, they make electric ones. This was a pretty cheapie at Harbor Freight. I can't remember exactly how much it cost, but finally starting to get some fluid. We're just gonna pull it all the way through. I would expect that one we just did to be the one that takes the longest, because it is the furthest. Everything else pretty much. Oh my gosh. Oh, no. Nope. No, we ain't doing that, bud. We ain't doing that. Yeah. So I felt that one twist with the ratchet. Oh, our chances aren't good on that. Well, let's see what other bleeder screws do so we know which ones we gotta get. Daggone it, that makes me angry. Just by looking at it, it doesn't look super promising. Let's go ahead and bleed it while we're here. It's not the proper order, but it shouldn't hurt anything. So this bolt that we broke, it is it just runs all the way through the arm. I don't know if you can see it on the bottom side with the bracket there. Camera will adjust. There she is right there. Anyway, I think I'm going to try to just drill that out. Same size, maybe a touch smaller, and then we'll just run something else in there. Let's see. So we are all the way through, just a couple more rounds to make sure that it gets the full cut of the thread, but I think we're there. Yeah. There we go. We are re-bracketed, which means this side is 100%. Let's get the wheel back on, get all my stuff out of the way. So I had to run to town anyway. I've never had good luck with these easy outs, but I thought, well, I'll pick one up real quick. It just takes me a few minutes to try and decide if I like that or not. And if it doesn't work, we'll have to take it off and probably just weld a nut on it. The nice thing about the bleeder screws, it's already got a hole down the middle of it. Broke it. So there's the broken brake bleeder valve right there. It's not a terrible deal to take this thing off, and we could weld a nut to that and get it out pretty quick, but if I can save the trouble of removing it. This is just an SDS. It's an old SDS hammer drill bit we cut the end off of. I use it for hydraulic fittings. I used it on that brake fitting up there because it seemed a little snug. It just gives it a little razzle dazzle. We're going to try to see if that does anything for us, and if not, I guess the caliper is going to come off. All right, caliper's coming off. And then we'll just drop it. Perfect. Oh man. Holy smokes. Oh my gosh, dude. So I was just sitting there thinking we could sit there and mess with that bleeder screw and try to get that thing out of there probably end up just tearing the caliper up anyway. Or we could just go ahead and throw a new caliper on this side and be done with it. You know, the old air-powered breaker bar. I don't know how else you do it. Spank new calipers. Of course, it's got its own banjo bolt, which is fantastic. Look, a nice shiny bleeder screw, that's good. Click. Very nice. Let's take the old bolt out. There we go. Oh yeah, I like that much better. Okay, let me get my brake sucker downer. It's starting to rain, so that's fun. That's what I was hoping for sure. Nice. Oh no, one of your legs is broken. All right, what's it catching on the back? It feels like it needs to be. Yeah, no, I got you. There's like a little shield to protect it from the drive shaft. It's just catching on that. All right, we're good to keep going up then? Yeah, no, you're good to keep going up. We'll probably slide that jack back here in just a second though. Let me know when we need to get those hoses connected back there. Honestly, we're probably at the perfect spot for those hoses. Yeah, let me go ahead and get those hoses connected real quick. All right, I got the front strap if you can get the back. Go. Go down to hose clamps. Clamp, clamp, clamp. Clamp-tastic. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So it started raining. That's great. Pretty excited about that. I got a tent if it gets too bad, but we're just about wrapped up. So I got a same thing we did on the other side. Drill and tap that so we can secure this bracket. Inner fender. And then we just gotta get the coils remounted on the valve cover gaskets. They're on and all torched down. Can't remember at this point if I filmed that or not. But anyway, they're on there, both sides. And we'll leave the plastic covers off so we can go drive around a little bit and then come back and give her a wipe down. But that's what we're getting ready to do. gonna peek underneath real quick. I mean, I'm trying to keep you guys out of the rain because I lost the battery cover off of you. I'm gonna peek underneath real quick to make sure there's no fuel shooting out of that filter, you know, something like that. And we'll see if we got hard brakes, if we can do anything here. All right. It feels like I got brakes, so that's better than we were looking before. So we don't. We're not moving. We're moving. We're not moving. We're moving. We're not moving. See how that works? That's neat. Wait. Do you got everything up from underneath this? We'll go slow. I think I did. All right. The mirror adjustment works. Oh, mirror adjustment works. Very nice. All right, I need to test all the features too, like windshield wipers. Oh, we got those. That's good. Crank it up to 27 Celsius. Not sure what that means. My Canadian friends might be able to help me there. All right, before we go down the big hill, brakes. Oh, great brakes. Very responsive. Oh. Steering seems good. Oh! Testing the brakes for sure right now. I got it. We're going. It's me. Good thing they worked, huh? That would have been a wild test. Oil pressure gauge is working and it's showing pressure. That's good. The gas gauge isn't my favorite, but that's all right. That was on when we got it. I want to drive it enough to get it up to temp and make sure it doesn't get, you know, anything bad there. Definitely need a new battery because unless you're giving her some alternator or some throttle, the voltage drops pretty quick. All right. Like those manifolds, you can tell those valve gaskets been leaking for a while because they're soaked. But there's nothing visible. I'm just going to run a paper towel along it. I don't hate her at all. I think we're good there. So let's slide under here, see what our brake line connections look like. Now what I'm going to do, I mean, I don't see anything crazy noticeable here. It's kind of hard to tell because we just drove in water, but I don't see any brake fluid. I'm just going to spray them all off with some brake clean. We'll let them dry and then I'll come back. I'm just going to have to come back and let this all dry. I kind of sprayed the dirt and the mud off of it from where we were just driving with some brake clean on the fittings, but I'm going to have to let it dry. If it's leaking, it'll form a leak even just sitting here on those fittings. But I don't see anything super noticeable. I don't see brake fluid around anything. It just looks like dirty, muddy water. But it would obviously be hard to tell in these conditions. So I think this rig's done. I'm going to pick up a battery for sure, 100%. Definitely needs that. Other than that, I think we're golden. She's got brakes. The valve covers aren't leaking. I ran the paper towel off. I mean, we got some dirt off of it, but there's no wet oil or anything like. Basically, I just want enough to cover a new set of tires for this truck and some underbed toolboxes. That's the goal. We're not trying to get rich off this thing. We're not trying to rip anybody off. I would drive it confidently the way it is now with no issues, so I don't have any issues selling it to somebody. And hopefully they get it for a good price. We get what we need, and it's a win-win. That's it. I don't know what the next video is going to be because I had some things to do the rest of the day that involved dry weather. Yeah. You know, plans are for laughing at. Things people say.